What if gravity reversed? No one expected the sky to fall because no one expected the ground to rise. It started with a faint tremor, not from below, but above. Birds flew erratically, struggling to stay aloft, wings flapping harder than ever. On the streets, people looked up in confusion as dust and leaves floated skyward. A child in Central Park let go of her balloon, and instead of drifting slowly up, it shot into the sky like a rocket. Moments later, so did the child. The event would later be called the inversion. At 9:41 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, Earth's gravity reversed. As if someone had flipped the planet like a coin, anything not nailed down began to rise. Cars, bicycles, coffee cups. Then, things that were nailed down ripped free. Buildings groaned as furniture crashed through ceilings. Entire houses cracked open as people were yanked from their kitchens and living rooms, sucked toward the heavens like dust in a vacuum. Panic swept across the globe. People clung to trees, to pipes, to anything bolted into bedrock. But even concrete crumbled. The oceans followed next, not in waves, but in rising, majestic, monstrous columns. Sea life tumbled through the air, confused and shimmering. Whales floated past skyscrapers. Octopuses clung to satellite dishes. The world was turning inside out. Scientists had no answers. Gravity didn't just flip, not without destroying the planet. And yet, the Earth held together. Planes couldn't fly. They didn't need to. They just rose. Pilots fought to control aircraft spinning like leaves in a storm. Satellites were swallowed by the rising tides. Cities in low valleys were evacuated upward. Governments scrambled to build reverse shelters, bunkers dug deep into the ground with reinforced ceilings now acting as floors. In these caverns, life continued, upside down. Artificial gravity simulated with electromagnetic boots and magnetized walls. But space was limited. Most people weren't so lucky. Some adapted. They tied themselves down with ropes and cables. Streets filled with nets. Trees grew downward. Engineers began to design cities that hung from bedrock like chandeliers. What used to be underground was now prime real estate. Former basements became penthouses. Children born after the inversion never knew gravity the old way. They learned to jump carefully, because too much force meant floating too high. Sports evolved: sky swimming, tethered parkour, aerial farming. New laws were written: no unstrapped pets, no open drinks, and always wear your anchor harness. But not everything could be fixed. Birds vanished, mountains shed their peaks, rivers turned to vapor trails in the sky, evaporating faster than they could rise. Rain still fell, but up, toward the clouds, creating misty columns that disappeared into the blue. The moon, untouched by Earth's madness, now seemed impossibly distant, a reminder of the world before. Some saw opportunity. Sky mining companies sent drills into the floating layers of rock and soil. Sky fishing became a billion-dollar industry, with whaling airships chasing leviathans that swam through the high-altitude oceans. A massive floating market formed just above the old Himalayas, where goods and people passed from balloon to balloon, each tethered delicately to peaks that no longer reached the sky, but the depths. Others saw only doom. The elderly, the poor, the unlucky, they floated away. Some clung to lampposts or bridges for days before giving up. Others vanished in their sleep, beds rising through roofs into oblivion. My grandmother was one of them. I still remember watching her silhouette disappear, quiet and still, drifting into a cotton candy sky. Years passed. Humanity changed. We learned to live beneath. Underground cities expanded, glowing with bioluminescent farms and mirrored sun traps. Children asked what clouds felt like. Museums displayed shoes worn before magnetic soles. A new religion formed, worshipping the sky as the final resting place of souls. Then, one day, it happened again. A flicker, a jolt, a dropped cup didn't rise, it hit the floor. Gravity, without warning, returned to normal. Everything that had floated began to fall. Entire oceans crashed back to Earth. Sea creatures rained down like comets. Sky ships, sky farms, sky cities all plunged. The sky itself collapsed. Millions died in minutes. Earth cracked under the weight of its own reversed history. But some of us survived. In deep caverns, behind reinforced walls, we waited. When we emerged, the world was wrecked, flooded, flattened, but familiar. Gravity was back. The sky was empty again. Now we live in a new silence. Beneath scattered stars, we rebuild on fractured soil. We bury the past, sometimes quite literally, as pieces of our sky civilization are found lodged in valleys or shattered on mountaintops. And every time a breeze brushes my face, I look up with a quiet fear, not of falling, but of rising once more.